Recording.
We are recording now.
Just
you know
fucking, we're mid.
DJ Mike's after party. We just got done with the one and only Spread Fox. Hey, y'all know what it is. Tell him, Mike.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
Anyway, back to what we were saying. He was like, "We're he was
This is
saying
how we're
that
starting the
I
show.
think he's a Broncos fan because we had
Because of the needles.
the needles
Yeah.
are orange and blue.
The first time
hate
I
the
saw
colors.
those.
Saying you were a Pacers fan because he was like, you know, like
Yeah, with their
Jordan or
Knicks colors.
whatever. Then I was like, nah.
Yeah, they're Knicks colors too. I didn't really.
Fucking
Now,
punk
see,
ass
when I-
Knicks
Mets. I was there Mets.
I
Yeah.
fuck with the Mets though. I'm a Mets fan.
When
I was like, nah.
right,
he
it
said
is
he's
a
the Pacers. He's got to be a Colts guy.
Yeah, I'm a Colts guy.
right. That's
I'm
what
a
he
Colts
was
guy.
saying. Because
But I am a
when
Mets guy, actually, believe it or not.
really,
Because so my mom's from Brooklyn, and
Shout out to BK.
and she moved out to Indiana when before I was born and met my dad out there. But my oldest brother has another dad who had passed away, and then she ended up she was in Brooklyn, and this was the late 70s, and shit was crazy in
right,
New York
and
at that time.
yeah, right,
And
right.
so she was like her husband who had passed away was from up north Indiana, like Valparaiso near Chicago. And so she just was like, I got to get away. Like my family was, they were doing things.
Okay.
And she didn't want a part of that because that was the whole John Gotti stuff and all that.
Okay.
And they grew up with all them. They all grew up.
Okay, around that type of stuff. Yeah.
My family's half Irish, so they're not like any type of. I don't have to go witness protection after this, but but like it was just crazy in New York at that time, and my mom's like a bookworm, like
Yeah.
she doesn't want to be around that, so she moved back to Indiana with her deceased husband's family and my brother's family. So but Valparaiso, man, it's a small town, and it's just like you don't want to live there too long. She met my dad anyway. They moved to Indianapolis, but when I was 6, I was 5, I guess. My parents got a divorce,
Okay.
and that summer, I was born in '80. So in that summer, we went, and my mom was thinking maybe moving back to New York or whatever.
Right.
She didn't know what she was gonna do, but she ended up getting the house, so she didn't move back to New York. But at the time, we went out to New York for like a month. I felt like a month. I don't know, it was a long ass time, and we were out there when the Mets won the '86 series. So I guess I was 6. I guess I was 5 still, but
Darryl Strawberry.
Darryl Strawberry,
Wow.
Keith
I know
Hernandez,
that,
Gary
that's my mom.
Carter.
That used to be my mom's favorite player.
Strawberry.
Mine too, dude.
I always paid attention to him,
Hey,
and because he did
remember
coke.
my little league
So I kind
coaches.
of got a little sweetheart for the Mets too because
yeah.
my mom was a Mets. We grew up
Mhm.
A's fans. But,
Okay, yeah. The
my
A's
mom,
too.
My mom,
I fuck
I
with
always
the A's.
remember that name. Like Darryl Strawberry used to do the flips and shit. Man.
Yeah, I fuck with the A's too, cause you had Ricky and Jose and all those guys, but nah,
Okay, DJ Mike and Friends, y'all. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. We got DJ Mike and Friends. Then 9 p.m. is the after party. I just found out I gotta move my truck live while we're recording this show. So
That's how we do it.
we just started this. Here we are. We're gonna get more to Spread Fox in a minute.
yeah.
I'm gonna let Mace handle this and watch how fast I run.
yeah,
No,
no,
man. So that's crazy. Yeah, no, definitely Darryl Strawberry.
So yeah, Darryl Strawberry. My little league coaches used to be like, they had to adjust my swing because I used to kick my leg up like Darryl Strawberry had that leg kick. I used to do that shit too, man. And yeah, so yeah, the Mets were my team. But other than that, I'm pretty much Naptown, Indianapolis, like Colts,
Okay.
Pacers,
How the Colts playing
IU.
this year?
I went to Indiana.
How are the Colts playing? And I ain't really paid attention to the Colts. 'Cause I haven't even paid attention to football really this year.
Yeah, it's not
I haven't really
not the
watched too
same.
much sports in the last couple of years. I've been so busy with music and just DJing and everything. You know what I mean? Like
For sure, man.
Sunday's usually like my day to go do something. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the only day I got off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say mine, like the Colts, they're better this year. You know, they got Phillip Rivers, who like I've hated
For real?
forever.
So he's not in the Chargers. Damn, that's right. That's
But
saying,
the
I'm not
Chargers,
even, yeah.
the Chargers always knocked us out when we were undefeated.
Yeah.
We would go 13, 14 and 0, and then the Chargers would beat us in the playoffs in the first round. And we just so yeah, the
What I miss?
not a Phillip Rivers fan, man, but
Phillip Rivers
and he's
is
been
not with the Chargers anymore.
he's been kind of
Right here, let me get one time.
Hey,
definitely,
cheers.
The set was dope.
Set was
Played
dope.
Dope shit.
okay, man. Thanks,
I heard
man.
that Griselda
Don't pay
in there.
attention.
I was
That's
like,
what if you're
okay.
trying to guide us as your
Okay.
list. We're on so many different
Playing
things while
some
you're
of that
mixing.
Griselda in there, okay.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
heard that.
heard that.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, shit.
I try and I would say DJ wise, like when I started doing the Wax Poetic stuff with Pet,
Yeah.
it kind of renewed my love for DJing again, cause like the whole point of the party was to play new hip hop
Yeah.
music, underground hip hop, soul, funk, Afrobeat too, but it really made me like dive deep into the world of
Culture, really,
Bandcamp and SoundCloud and all the things that I'd have, we're all artists and musicians ourselves, and we're always working on our own thing, and sometimes don't have the time to like.
Yeah, I find
So
that.
that's what
new
we
shit,
say. The
and-
difference between us and kids is kids got 10 hours a day to do nothing but search for music.
Yeah.
I don't have that. I gotta go to work.
Yeah.
I got kids. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. You know what I mean?
Right. In fact, one thing I do
So
is
what we usually do is go to what we know.
right.
Because we don't have time. So we just want to hear something that we know to have
Yeah.
a good feeling.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
sitting there and
But that-
discover for
In fact,
hours.
this weekend my son was in town, and we got a rental car. You can Bluetooth nowadays the phone right to the car and everything. I throw on that Nas album that's out, King's Disease.
Yeah.
He's like, Dad, this been out for like a couple months already. Like, he's
See,
on.
that's kids.
He's on some whole next. First, he wasn't ever really on that anyway.
But I'm like that too. I could just be, anytime somebody puts me on somebody new, I'm like, I'm with it because I don't, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of time to discover the people. So anytime
Well-
I hear something dope, I'm like, oh, let me get that. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Who is that?
we kept it loose, like it was at the DJ's discretion, but what we tried to do is like loosely 2 to 3 years old would be the cutoff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I don't know, he had other DJs doing the first couple of them when they did them at other spots, but like they're,
Where was
I don't
Wax
remember.
Poetics?
I think they did it at Legionnaire once, and they did it at somewhere else
yeah.
another time. I think it was like the other DJs are like pros, and they are reading the crowd, and they like throw on something that's a classic hip hop joint, and everyone goes crazy, and then they just run with that, and that wasn't really the platform. But
Yes.
But the thing was, is that was what was difficult for us, was like, where do we find? So that's when we started throwing them at the Hyro building,
Okay.
and it was like a day party thing, and we're like,
Yeah.
okay, we don't want, because we did them on Saturdays. We did like a offshoot of them on Saturdays at the place next to New Parish.
The little bar
the
right
little
there.
bar right next
yeah,
to it.
Yeah.
It's owned by the same people or whatever, but
It changed owners about a year and a half, 2 years
yeah,
ago.
actually they did, yeah.
I was
But-
getting ready to start DJing there, and they changed owners.
but I mean,
It happens.
It happens.
that place was, they were cool, but anyway, but like
Could have made it better.
there could have been
Obviously, they're not. Yeah,
but,
change,
but
yeah.
they were nice people, and the people would come in and like be like, yo, when's the turn up happening, and we have
Right.
to be like, I mean, you could turn up to what we're playing, but that's not really what we set out to do. But not saying that
Now,
we
that's always
didn't
the
get it
argument as a
happening.
hip hop DJ. Yes.
No,
I
I-
do that. Trust me, I want to play boom bap 24/7, but sometimes you got to change it up.
Now,
But
I did some
definitely,
shit.
It's different when it's like a dedicated event, so like that.
Yeah.
It's not.
So that's, and then we
Yeah.
finally found our niche. Like once we started doing it in the Hyro building, it worked. But then we ran into the issue of kind of like, it was kind of hard. It's hard to get people to come to shows in East Oakland, honestly.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I
I know.
like I wish I could say it in a like nicer way, but like that's just the way people are. And I mean, I don't know. There's something about that I enjoy actually,
Yeah,
because even believe it or not, everything's changed in East Oakland. You've been down international, you know what I'm talking about. So like, it's just like
very well.
It's all changing anyway. So, but at that time, we did it. We started doing kind of art gallery. We did it at E14, and then we did it at Spirit House with Picasso, and those were cool. Those were because people came and they vibed out, and we played. You know, this beat right here is the vibe. You know, like that kind of soulful, like so people could still dance to it. And I mean, I discovered so many.
Gotta find that crowd.
Dope.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much
the right crowd. Yeah.
There's so much dope music right
now.
That's how
we've been throwing these little parties here, and we've been getting the right little crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
A little hip hop crowd.
I'm at a point right now
because we were both thinking the same thing. We were like, we might have to play like some super hood shit or some.
I thought we were gonna have to play the Ratchet, the top 40 rap, and when I start,
people were like loving the hip hop shit.
I was killing it, right? And I'm just cruising along. I'm playing what you're saying. That's super classic, but I'm keeping it real hip hop.
Right.
I'm playing
Well,
I was talking about with me. I was playing. I remember they were loving it, and I was going like Brand Nubian and Tribe Called Quest and all the regular shit you ever heard DJ Mike play at them hip hop shows, and they were eating it up. So then I'm like, okay, now let me switch this into some new, and I think I switched it into. I started fucking with the beat from. That Megan Thee Stallion, Girls in the Hood, where she does use that old loop, the Easy use that dun 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 dun, and fucking and I was mixing it with something else, and they were digging it. But when Megan came in, I cleared it out. Yeah. I cleared it the fuck out.
I did the same
and
man, that is the DJ.
It was like, ouch, I messed up. Okay,
no, I played some new shit too, and I was like,
yeah.
I guess
so
we got the real shit. I didn't know.
We're kind of like
that's what we were striving for, but
it's what we wanted, but we didn't think that's what we were gonna get.
Like,
so now we're coming around these parties like, fuck it, we're on some hip hop shit, and that's what we're on. I'm gonna tell you about DJ Mike. I'm gonna tell you about DJ Mike, man. I've spent so many years trying to break in to the mainstream DJs, the top 40 DJs, what do they call open format?
Tools in you gotta have the tools sharp.
But this game always takes me back.
My boy. He's gonna be on the show pretty soon.
Which one?
Lazy Boy.
Lazy Boy.
Yeah, Lazy Boy.
That dude's a party rocker.
He could do everything.
But this game always takes me back to that real hip hop shit. And I've come to realize like that's my shit.
Well,
ultimately.
That's what's dope though, is I think we're the last of an era of like DJs who, like, when I first, like in Indianapolis, the best DJ in Indianapolis is DJ Top Speed. Okay. Shout out to Top Speed. If you don't know who DJ Top Speed is, look him up and you will not be disappointed. He's a beast, and people who know it. But he's been doing it for damn near 30, almost 40 years. I mean,
right.
He's been doing the shit, and he's raw as fuck. But he can do everything. But you know, back when I started DJing in '96, like everybody my age would go to him and kind of like he would kind of like teach him shit. You know,
he was the guy.
But even though he was the homie and I was cool with him, like I didn't want to do that. Like I wanted to be like, I saved up all my money to buy these fucking turntables. I'm gonna figure out how the fuck they work and how I'm gonna make this De La Soul album that made me want to buy these things in the fucking first place. Because I was a rapper too, and I'm like, I want to make music with these things, not only just play it. But I also knew anyone who wanted me to DJ, they wanted me to rock a party. So I learned how to mix, and I learned how to mix records together. And I mean, shit, I did parties at the Boys and Girls Club, and I mean, I had like 40 records.
Right.
That's all I had.
Right.
I didn't even bring all of them. I bring like 20, and like I almost got killed for not having Tupac at a thing one time.
Oh, shit.
And the homie had it on tape, on a mixtape, and he put it on the tape deck, and we managed to mix it in perfectly.
Wow.
But yeah, that saved my life, because I lived in the Midwest, but like at the time it was the East Coast West Coast beef shit,
Right.
Yeah,
and I didn't really choose a side, but I listened to
wanna play,
to more East Coast shit, so I didn't have Pac records. I had Pac CDs.
Yeah.
I didn't have any Pac records yet.
Yeah.
And casting, they were casting that, like, literally the west side of town was like Pac fans,
Right.
and the east side was like, it was crazy. It was like people in other cities really took that shit to heart. And really, and I would be like, man, like, you don't even live on any coast. Like, why y'all,
Right,
why y'all
right.
trying to, like,
I think it was
be
something
mad
to be
'cause
about.
I'm not playing Tupac. Like
That's
you-
so deep,
you know.
man.
But I mean, but that's the other thing though, is like, you know,
But even out here,
GDs and I mean, these gangs are all across the country, so it ain't. It's
but
just
even out here
affiliation.
back in the day, you get cats and they'd be politicking on Biggie versus Pac and Pac. To this day, you go on Facebook and once in a while somebody got
All
some
of it.
old school post about who was better, Biggie or Pac.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy, man.
And I mean, I think they were both amazing artists and
Me too.
geniuses, and they just
Definitely.
they made music that moved people in
I
a
think
way.
they made each other better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
Pushing
I mean,
each
and
other.
like I said, they
Yeah.
were friends before all the beef.
Exactly. and
But
you know it.
but I also, I don't know. I was old enough then to be making hip hop myself, and while I thought they were dope,
You were doing your
they
thing.
weren't my favorite artists. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
Like, I was
yes.
into Wu
I'm with
Tang,
you.
and I was into like
I'm with you.
Redman and Def Squad.
Word.
And, you know, and DJ Quick and
Organized-
DJ
like,
Quick was
organized-
Organized
unbelievable.
Company
Confusion.
Club,
Organized stress.
Yeah.
all that shit.
And then eventually all that
Arsonist.
raucous shit came
That
a little
came
bit after
late
that.
90s.
A little bit after that. And then, so I, you know, like, I mean, say that's like what I was talking about with Jay-Z earlier. Like man, I could no enough props to him. Like, you know, I could only dream to get to that level.
Right.
But
Yeah.
and you know, but you know, like when he came out, I just it was one of the dope things that was out at the time. But
Right.
of
yes.
all those things, I was much more. I was a Goody Mob fan. I was a Tribe
Yeah.
fan. I was a
Boot Camp
I was
That,
Boot
you know-
Camp fan. I was a Wu Tang fan, and I thought that
Yes.
Mobb Deep. So I thought that
I'd have a rotation of new
Yeah.
hot shit. The Brock.
yeah,
Yeah.
OGC. Man, they're one of the most underrated.
Now let me ask you this, because I've asked True Justice this. You're the second
So I'm
person to
with
ask
you
this.
too. Like I was never, for me, I heard Tupac from like my mom and like my older cousins that were like gangbangers. I heard it. Like that was what
Yeah.
they were playing in the living room.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
but for me, nah. Like me and my cousin were listening to the real shit.
So I'm gonna ask you this. So back then, it just seemed like it was classic after classic after classic dropping.
Oh, every
Hip hop
Tuesday.
wise,
Every
hip hop
Tuesday.
wise, real motherfucking hip hop. Now, how do you feel
Well,
about where
I
the
would
game's
say
at today
now
versus then?
there's-
It's coming back.
It's coming back. There's
It's
now.
coming back.
If you look, there's a lot of good music out. A lot of hip hop.
There is.
Especially that. If you like that old school hip hop sound, there's a good handful of cats pushing it.
Honestly,
Pushing it.
because I've conditioned myself
And
from
some younger
that
cats, too.
wax poetic thing, and
Yeah.
it's made me just as a DJ have this mechanism that I want to play new shit.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm playing new shit because I want people to play my shit,
Yeah.
and my shit might not be for everybody, and it might be for a certain type of thing or whatever. I don't know, but. What I do know is like no one's ever gonna play my shit if I'm a DJ that doesn't play any new
Right.
shit. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I get a lot of new
Like-
real hip hop. I'm
there's a
I'm
lot
in
of dope.
I'm in the Beat Junkies record pool,
Okay.
and on Sundays, first of all, they sprinkle shit throughout the week, new school, old school shit, all different shit, funk, classic, all different kinds of shit, right? But Sundays are exclusively, they call it indie hip hop, but real hip hop, brand new real hip hop.
Yeah.
And I don't always, with all the music I get and the limited time I have with the way my life is designed right now, I can't even get to it all. But I'll go in here with Mike White and we'll start jamming. I'm like, well, let me just run through, see this new shit. And I'm discovering just a little bit I'm rocking with him rocking and then me letting certain records play. I'm discovering so much brand new dope shit. Shit that nobody's playing, and it's dope.
Yeah.
It's brand new. You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
And hip hop it's still alive. It's just not what. Yeah.
And
You gotta look for it.
that's what I was gonna say earlier. Is like, man, like that's from doing that thing with Pep. Is like there's dope hip hop going on in New Zealand,
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Germany,
Yeah.
the Netherlands, UK, and then like they have their own kind of hybrid versions of what they do. But here's the thing that has drawn me to a lot of the foreign stuff, and I can't get with it all. Like, I don't want it to try and sound too much like it's trying to be American, like, cause it's like, be yourself. You know what I mean? Like, that's what hip hop's all about. But you know, some of it, man, they care about good sound out there. Like out in Europe, New Zealand, Australia as well. I know they're not anywhere near each other, but they're
Just
like,
different places you've discovered.
yeah, like through the listening to music, like they care about the way like music sounds. You know, like they're getting their shit properly mastered. They're like, you go to like a dive bar and their sound system fucking shits on like a club out here. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, because it's just like something they really, because they think of music more artistically maybe than we do in America, you know, and it's more of a commodity here. So and then also the whole, like, our industry is still based around like a rock and roll model from the 60s and 70s, kinda, you know.
For real.
So, and sound guys, I mean, that's the thing, I'm an engineer
But I will
too.
say
Sound guys,
it's
it's
changing.
changing.
A little bit now
Yeah,
with
it's getting
everything
better.
on GSP, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
definitely it's changing a little bit. You know,
It's-
we are seeing that. You know what I mean?
it's definitely getting better. But
And
I
there's even more coming, because it is funny. Like, I was just watching, like L.A. Reid just sold his whole catalog.
saw that too.
Sold his whole catalog.
Do you know much about that company that bought it?
A little
No.
bit, but they've been spending like
They've been
close to
spending
$1
lots of
billion
money.
dollars.
Buying
There's
up
something.
Somebody else sold it to
So
them
there's
too.
something big that's gonna happen soon.
Yeah.
And somebody, one side knows and the other side thinks they know.
Yeah.
Because there's been not just them. There's been a couple other famous artists that have sold theirs. They've got some good money
to
for
them,
it.
they've got some great
They
stuff.
might have got even more than what they're worth. But so to me, they're looking at it the opposite. Like, hey, there's something big that's gonna happen where my shit's not gonna be as much.
Have
in
you?
the future,
Do you
know
guys
what I mean?
follow? Do you guys follow Casual on Instagram?
Yeah.
A little bit, not that much.
Because
I do.
he's been man, he's been like talking about this thing for a while, that I like. That's what I think these people are doing is basically. But he knows about that, but he thinks that we could do it in a way that's a little bit more equitable. But who knows what those guys are going to do, really?
Sucking
But-
up people's
It's
catalogs.
always changing so fast,
But the
man.
thing is about, it's like basically making your music public like it was a stock. So
Yeah.
so like you sell, instead of selling your, you know, your music goes through all the normal stuff, you know, Spotify and all that kind of stuff, but you sell stocks in the tune, in the song, and then, you know, people will pay, and basically you can, and then you will get
Well,
the
see, I think I could probably see the challenge there on that, because every DSP is gonna probably have their own value to it, so it's gonna probably be hard to value the stock, because
well, for sure.
every DSP
For
is
sure.
gonna value
But-
it differently. You know. What I
Well,
mean?
no, but that's the thing though.
But I mean that's kind of sounds like a good idea. I think it's on the right track. It just probably needs to be.
it's a
fine-tuned,
similar track, but I'm not
I mean, I
explaining
can
it
see
as
one
well
thing,
as
yeah,
he
yeah,
explains it.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
he explains
Right.
it way deeper. Like if you just follow him
More
on Instagram,
details,
yeah,
yeah.
because I kind of asked him the same thing. I was like, yeah, but like, what about someone like for me,
Well,
for
I was
instance,
saying,
like
how would you value the stock
I
if
make
every-
hella
Right.
dope music,
If
but I don't
every-
really have
yeah.
fans like that where I know that I could get to sell it, you know.
Right.
But he's like it wouldn't be for everybody, but think about if 5 of the top 10 artists choose to do this, say Jay-Z, or Jay-Z
Oh,
wouldn't do
yeah.
it because he's got title, but say one of those guys up there chooses to do something like that, and then it catches on, and that would mean that, like, so it would create a market eventually. So you might have Lil Wayne or something that will sell his catalog or sell his songs, like shares of his songs, and then that'll be like, all right, well, shit, it costs like $1,000 for one share of a Lil Wayne song. Like, I'm not as popular as Lil Wayne, but I bet I could get a group of people to buy mine for $5 a share. What's $5 a
mean-
share? You support me or not? You know what I mean? And if I sell 100 shares, $5 a share, That's $500. Okay, that's not like a new album, but I can make a dope ass song for $500, especially for me. I have a studio.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? If I get $5 from 100 people, or I could get people to buy, like, you could buy 30 stocks for,
Is that what that whole $200 album was about, or $100 album, whatever?
That's
it was?
not all it was about, but it was just he's been just trying to push those, like, just kind of push the limits on how this stuff is consumed, and because everybody's so doom and gloom and wants to throw up their hands in the air and be mad because people don't consume the music like they used to. But
Right.
it's like, we got to keep moving, and so yeah, that's the other thing. He sold his record for $100, and you get a T-shirt, and he'll shout you out on Instagram or whatever. But
Right.
then it's like cats like Redman are buying it, and all his industry friends are buying it, and that's promoting it, and motherfucker will be like, damn,
Yeah.
I got $100. I kind
I
of
won't lie. I
that.
waited till it was on iTunes.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I did too. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't think he would expect us to spend that money on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he had a target audience, and I don't know.
And he sold
a decent
his ass
amount.
off, right?
He sold more than let's just put it this way. He sold more $100 albums, and I've probably sold $30 albums at this point. So
Right.
$20,
I get it.
$25, whatever I'm selling them for. I don't even know.
And his was digital. Yours was physical.
Yeah, mine's a record.
Yeah, so you had a cost to begin with.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, he had some heavy producers on there, I think. One
It
or
was
two, so-
dope. I'm not gonna tell you it bent my mind in half or anything.
No, me neither.
But it
Me
was
neither.
dope hip hop.
It was dope though.
Dope.
I thought the
casual,
songs with the features were cool. Like,
Yeah.
I thought there were some cool features on there, and like,
That's what his latest project.
yeah.
Yeah. It's real. It was dope.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, those cats, I mean, they're artists just like us, man. And
Word.
like, they may have reached a certain level or whatever, but that's why I fuck with them as not just artists, but as friends.
Right.
Because, like, you surround yourself with the people who you like they have good. We all have our habits of whatever we have, but when it comes to artistic shit and music
They're
and music
disciplined
business, they
in
got
that
good
direction.
habits, man. Like,
Yeah.
those guys work at music every day, and we grew up listening to their music, and they're still working every day.
Right.
Every day.
Every day. Very dope.
Like, I mean, before I knew Festo, as a person, because our kids go to preschool together, but like when I would be at the High Road building with Pep, we'd be there late as fuck, and Festo would show up at like 1 a.m. with a bass, and I didn't know what he would go in the studio, do whatever he would be doing, and then now that I know him, I knew that he's going to be a dad, a working parent at preschool the next morning, and a soccer coach for his
It's
son.
real,
and-
brother.
you know
It
what I
is
mean?
real.
And like, and I'm like, bro, like, but for me, I'm like, that's what it takes.
That's what it
You
takes.
know, if I think that COVID, another cool silver lining of COVID is I think we are going to find that, maybe we don't need to like destroy ourselves just to like do a job or get a song out or yeah. But at the same time, like, knowing that someone, like, you gotta have that drive, like, and I've lost it. Like, everyone gets it back and loses it, and
right, correct.
Life happens.
I'd be the first to tell you, Mike,
Yeah.
too. I mean, since
Yeah,
I've had
life
this
happens.
spot, I probably haven't practiced much like this.
No,
I
life
know
happens.
since the COVID.
I was real. I was real solid.
My creativity has went down since COVID, especially in the
My
beginning.
creativity has gone down
Especially
since
when I
COVID.
lost all my
It's had its
spots,
moments.
DJing was over. I was like, are you serious? Like,
And the ill part for me is I've
so
got to
hard
do
to
some
keep
real
it
cool
up.
shit during COVID. And I don't feel that I've been like my baddest. But at the same time, technically wise, probably up until probably the last month or so, which I just completely fell off. Technically, I was pretty solid. I was in there murdering it. You can ask his brother. I came in every night between 10 and 11 at night. I would get stoned like a motherfucker, and I'd hit the turntables.
Yeah.
And I'd rock for 2-3 hours every night. And I was on my game. Yeah. You know, I'd go to rehearsals with the band, and they're like, "Hey, can you do this, DJ Mike?" Here I am.
Yep.
And but creatively was another thing. Creatively, I'm stale as fuck.
I think everyone's taking a hit because, I mean, I've been looking at it like this. I'll get inspired at times to do something, and if I can, I'll follow that. Maybe start writing or do whatever. But yeah, yesterday actually, I just looked at my MPC, and it's been, I haven't turned it on in at least 2 weeks.
There you go.
But the thing for me, the blessing for me though, is I'm a hoarder, and I have hundreds of songs I've just been sitting on and whatever. So, like this record, this Spread'em record.
Show them the record spread.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know if there's a camera, you know, but this Spread'em record, you know, which I designed the cover.
I've been waiting months to buy this.
You know, it probably started being.
What's on it? Like what is it? Like beats or scratch record?
It's me rapping.
Oh.
It's actually yeah. So yeah. Like I guess I should maybe explain like it's weird because a lot of people know me as a rapper. A lot of people know me as a DJ or a producer, but like not a lot of people know me as all of them together because I just you gotta kind of like compartmentalize a little bit because otherwise the shit don't, like, people won't take you seriously.
Right.
So like if I'm like, oh, I'm a rapper and a DJ and a da-da-da, people are like, yeah, okay, so am I.
I think if you come
know?
at me when I first met you, I'd be like, oh, this guy's he's one of these everything guys
like,
till something hits, you know.
But
that's not bad because I pretty much most of my life been all elements. So
but see, I think
probably
we grew
the
up
least
like that.
thing I've ever done. Because I grew up as a b-boy as a kid.
Now I met you as a DJ.
Yeah, for sure. But that's what I'm saying. But we did grow up, and the other thing about the era we grew up in is like, for me, it was about I want to make this hip hop music.
Right.
I want this hip hop music that has moved me my whole entire life.
I need to be part of this.
Yeah, and so like I want to play the records and I want to make the music, but I didn't understand how the music was made back when I was in high school when I got the turntables.
Yeah.
But I did have, it was a pair of belt drive Geminis with the fucking Scratch Master.
That
had the 12-second sampler. You know? Yeah.
Oh, you had the one with the sampler on it.
Ooh. That I would leave plugged in for days. I had that sampler too that had a couple different banks. It had like a 12 bank.
I had this
two
Stanton
fours,
one.
two
It was
twos.
I had this Stanton one that was a trigger sampler and it had the banks on the side.
I had that with my boy.
And you could adjust the banks a little bit with the little pitch.
And so once I figured that part out, because here's my foray into DJing was, I loved De La Soul Is Dead. Like, that album hit me. Like, even though that came out in '91, my brother had it, but I didn't really listen to it. I stole his CD in around '93, and that was like right around when Wu-Tang came out and stuff. And so I got into both of those at the same time, and really, I mean, I liked Me, Myself, and I, but to be honest, when I was younger, I used to come on the box, I'd be like, this is a little corny to me. Like, I mean, like, I thought
it was a record that got so much play, it even had commercial radio play, and you became numb to it. It wasn't dope no more.
But then when De La Soul Is Dead came out, I was like, oh shit,
oh my fucking god.
But De La Soul Is Dead. Well, 6 is high, of course.
That peas porridge in the pot. And I'm not gonna front. Roller skating jam named Saturdays. It's in my top 10,
dude. I'm telling you, every song that album.
Kind of newer shit for the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Those last couple albums were not bad.
But when I was in, like, I guess I was in high school, junior high school, that was like those two things and Hyro came out.
Yeah.
Souls of Mischief came out. 93 to Infinity. I bumped the shit out of that.
I started college.
Those
year
were the
came
things
out.
that made me want to make. I was like, I like this music. I like this music, but I want to make this music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I would listen to the De La shit, and I would hear in the back. I would hear all the samples. I'm like, oh, I know that song. That's a Parliament song, or that's a whatever song.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh, it's so cool how they put them all together, like Paul's Boutique or whatever. It's like a piece of art.
Yes.
And then I would hear the little scratching in the background, and then the Wu-Tang shit, I would hear the little scratching in the background, and I'm like, okay, so maybe the DJ is just making this music. That's what it looks like in the video. And the video that made
I
me
thought the same
buy
kind of thing.
what made me buy the turntables was Gangstar Mass Appeal. When I saw Premier doing someone like with the Mass Appeal.
Big props out
Nah.
to Gangstar, Premier
Yeah.
Guru, because when you watch their videos, they presented hip hop.
Hip hop. Yeah, they made
Their
you like,
their music,
That
the way they made
Yeah.
their music,
no,
Yeah.
that's
the way they
what-
promoted, like we do
that's
it
what
like
for me is
this,
hard to say
and their
when they say,
videos,
who's your,
they were motherfucking 100% pure.
who's your favorite,
concentrate
group DJ? It's
motherfucking
too many,
hip-hop.
man. There's too many
way
for
too
that.
many. But they all had influence,
I
and
mean, don't get me wrong. I got like my few favorite. Like I'm Tribe Called Quest is one of my favorite. Like I could listen to Tribe Called Quest.
Tribe's
Totally.
one of my favorite. Gangstar's
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite.
Like, Gangstar probably my second.
Yeah.
right under there. I mean, so
yeah,
many.
I think back in those days,
So
I
many.
did have a list. You know, I did have a favorite.
So
I think
many.
my list back then was
I
like
don't know. There were so many.
was like
I had lists.
De
We were just
La
discovering it,
and
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm a huge Outkast fan.
Wow.
They've probably been like
Oh,
maybe my
yeah.
biggest influence.
Okay, so
maybe
how
of
old
all
are you,
time.
Spread?
I just man. All right, I just turned 40, man.
Okay,
I
you just turned 40. So,
oh, okay.
so let me hear your, like, when you were, like, coming
70,
up,
right? Your birthday's
you were
70.
coming up your top 5.
Groups or just
Yeah, since we're on it.
We're on it.
I want to see where we're
We're
all
Mike
at.
and Friends every
Ooh,
Thursday
top
night at 8
5.
p.m. Here with Spread
Ooh,
Fox.
oh,
I'll give you my top 5 off the top when I was
five,
coming
let's
up.
go.
When I was
Oh,
coming up.
Okay, coming
Coming
up, I
up.
could give you that.
When I was coming up, extremely influential
Okay.
to a young, high school, 18 to
That's no
21-year-old
fair. You guys are
DJ
older.
Mike.
That's no fair, but go ahead.
KRS-One.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Ice-T.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's a good one, too.
Fuck, shit.
My cousin used to-
Guru and Premier. Where am I at? I'm on 3.
Mhm.
Chuck, Flav, Terminator X, S1Ws, fucking Public Enemy, and shit. I'm gonna say fucking NWA.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And I know those are like all those like cornerstone, but that's when I came up.
yeah.
But just
mean-
in runners up
There's
is
so many
De
for
La,
me.
Tribe, Dell.
Well, I
So
went.
many.
I had
Nubian.
like
It's
schools.
not-
yeah,
I had
was
like
born
different
in,
eras.
I was born in '84.
and there's different eras because I
So
can tell
I
you.
grew up with it. Like in '84, my mom was listening to it. So by like '88, '89, like my mom was bumping Rodney on show.
Right.
Right.
So I started out like 5, 6 years old, remembering that she had those records.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
What's
Yeah,
your
my-
top
my-
5?
my
Top 5.
cousin-
my top 5.
Mace-
Guys,
All timers. Who influenced
Group
Mace?
or
What made
person?
Mace just
Or
like
infant?
Jesus
Okay,
Christ?
Tribe Called Quest.
Better than a fine woman.
Alright,
Called
Tribe.
Quest. That's no fair, bro. KRS-One.
KRS-One.
For sure.
Are we talking MCs or just
Or group.
Act-
That's
groups.
what I'm saying,
Acts,
like,
groups,
anybody-
yeah? 'Cause
Hip,
if it was
whatever.
MCs,
Because
it'd be
then that's
different.
even way too many.
You could say native tongues.
Yeah, like because for me, yeah, I would have to. I would
'Cause
have.
I could even
would.
throw it off because I grew up. In
You could say hieroglyphics.
I grew up in Stockton, so for me, I could say like Brother Winston like that.
Right. That makes sense. Total makes
I grew up with
sense.
that music.
Yeah. No, I feel that.
Grew up with that.
Totally
During
makes sense.
my
I'm
top
not gonna
I mean,
lie.
that's my
I mobbed
thing, is,
to
like,
Pittsburgh.
I grew up on the like. See, I
And
had
could say-
eras.
I could put Messy Marv. I'm a big Messy Marv fan.
Wow.
I grew up on all that shit.
Yeah.
Dre. I mean, there's too many. You can keep going.
Well, because
Keep going. Or,
Well,
what
that's
are we
just-
talking
that's
about? We
just how
talking
ill
about-
it is.
We talking about like real hip hop?
no, whatever,
Whatever.
what the fuck
Okay,
ever.
then I'll put
In the
like
hip hop
Dre.
rap genre,
Andre,
mainstream
Nicki
indie,
Minaj,
it don't
you got a
matter.
lot of people.
Here's one who often it makes my.
Exhibit.
Who,
I've
here's
been
one.
a big
Exhibit.
I love
fan.
Exhibit.
I've been a big
Speed
Exhibit
of Life.
fan since the Wake Up Show, Speed of Life.
Speed
Come
of
on,
Life.
man.
I already told my
Yeah.
exhibit story. Did I tell
I
my
got him on
exhibit story a
record.
couple
I got
shows
him on
ago?
record still.
Yeah, me too. I
Come
do
on,
too.
man.
I bought that
So
record.
we
That
can
was
go
one of the
back. I was
first.
gonna
That
say-
was one of those 20
You said
records
my
I
top
bought to that
five.
shit and didn't have
My top
Tupac.
5, I was gonna say, what about the Far Side? You said
Far
those-
Side.
Far Side. Oh yeah.
Far
Those two
Side,
albums are
See,
like hella
Freestyle
influential.
Fellowship,
See, I'm
Come
a,
on.
I'm a, I'm a
King
go.
T and the Licks.
Come
I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with this. Like
Guys and corrupt.
I came up like the old school, the
Too
old school
short.
shit. Like, you know, like
So it's like, to me, it's what are you talking about? You talking about like real
Whatever. I've told you.
hip-hop?
Here,
You
this is
talking
what I
about
picked.
West
Who did I
Coast?
pick again?
Because like I said,
I
Too
picked.
Short.
I picked
And
KRS. My
Ice-T for
most.
sure.
My most.
My
Ice-T.
cousin was bumping Ice-T.
God, I loved
Okay,
Ice-T. I thought
so-
Ice-T was Jesus.
if we're
Two Live Crew, all that shit. Remember Two Live Crew?
All that shit.
if we're doing all time, I'm in no particular order. In no particular, I don't know
I got so
who's
many in
first
my
or second.
head, man.
Right.
But I'll have De La
De La.
up there. I've always had Rakim up there.
Oh, nah. Yeah, of course.
And KRS was up there for a while. He
man,
goes
you're
up he
amazing.
goes up and down.
You're
You know
you're
what I mean?
making
For
my
me-
list
As
like,
big of a
keep
fan as I
going,
was
but
then, I'm the
you're
same
bringing
way.
up more
But-
name spread. My list is growing now.
Exactly.
Like, wait a minute, can we go to
But
10?
but
Can we go to 10?
Go to 10.
But I will say
Just happy.
Outkast
Outkast.
is like
Right?
is top 3
You were talking about Outkast a little bit
easy
ago, we
of all
started.
time for me.
Grew up with a lot of that shit. Like,
Outkast was when they first came.
8-Ball and MJ.
They were
Eight
some
Ball,
whole
MJ.
other
Come
on,
shit
man.
that sound
See,
everything.
here's the
Come
thing.
on.
I'm from the Midwest, and
Come
so
on.
we grow.
You know about
we
some
grow
of that.
like I play.
on.
I wish that I could play the stuff that I
grew
want to
up
play
on
in the
Kansas
Bay.
City shit,
Right.
And like,
Fat Toad, all
I'll
that
play
shit.
UGK
Hey.
and 8-Ball MJG and
That
3
scares
6
the
Mafia
shit out of
and
me.
shit. And
I even like
motherfuckers
some of the
won't
little flip
fuck with
I
that.
toy with leaving the
Play
Bay,
it,
and I'm
but-
like, my style is fucking Keek the Sneak and Too Short and motherfucking 415 and fucking you all digging up all
They
the
don't
Bay
listen to
classics,
that
the
shit.
Delinquents
Because it
and
was
fucking
Scarface
Scary
was
X
the
and
first album, like,
Oh yeah, Ghetto
Back-
Boy.
come
Ghetto
on,
Boys was
man.
big. Ghetto Boy. He was like
Scarface's
most
first album where
most
he had the
kids.
shotgun, like,
Most
Yeah,
kids
yeah,
my
yeah.
age.
Come on,
Most
man.
kids my age. You know, we listen for the cuss words and shit. So we
Right.
love
A lot of
NWA.
I'm
Ghetto
all
Boys,
deep into it, and
Too
the
Short.
kids are like, these other kids at my school, I like NWA because they cuss.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
well, you know, you would be singing Too Short with your friends and be like, cuss word, just let them roll, motherfuck shit, goddamn ass, and that shit would be like fun. But you know, for me, I actually
It's crazy.
So when I was 7 years old, my cousin got in some trouble out in New York, and he came to live with us for like a year. And they had to move. There was some things.
Yeah,
But he, you know, he's from New York, and he's not like a hip hop head per se. But he's from New York, and this was 1986,
Right.
87.
Right.
Yeah,
And
especially at that
he grew
time.
up in Brooklyn, and he had
Oh, really?
mixtapes.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, he was like, "Oh, you like Run DMC? You like
got
LL
this,
Cool
yeah.
J?" And I'm
Right.
like, "Yeah, I like LL Cool J." And then I loved LL Cool J actually.
he had
I've almost played the Breakthrough
He
tonight.
had the mixes.
But he had
That would've been dope.
mixes, and that was when I first heard Rakim. That was when I first heard a lot of, and actually there were a few songs on those tapes that me and my brother used to sing, and we can't find find those songs. I don't know where they are.
See,
There's this one that uses the what's that sample, the fucking
Champ. Mohawks.
Champ. Yeah, the Mohawks.
There, slam.
Yeah, or whatever they say.
Yeah.
Champ or whatever
Champ.
they say. Yeah.
That's what they say,
I know.
champ.
That's why I'm like, it's the fucking thing they say, but it doesn't sound like.
I know,
it.
because it's been interpreted so many ways now. It's just in your head
'Cause
20 different
everyone
ways.
used
It's
to do it.
remixed in your head.
In the song, it was like, play. It made it sound like it goes. She's a player.
Yeah.
It'd be like, and it made
Yeah.
it sound like it was like player, just
Yeah.
like Claire, player.
Right,
something.
right.
But yeah, so like and then oh shit, Slum Village. So yeah, we can't even. There's just different eras, you know. Because honestly, De La had always been on my top list, and that's what made me want to make music. And then, but then,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
then,
Say, yeah, you
but
keep
no,
talking
but then,
about
but
it,
then
Fred.
they
And well
hit,
deserved.
they hit a certain.
Oh, I feel you.
But
No,
they,
that's what I'm saying. There's just so many. Like everybody had, especially.
But they
the
hit a
era-
certain point
the
where their
era that
live
we grew
show
up in,
pissed
there's
me off.
So many. The era that we grew up in, there's so many. You can
Yeah.
grab handfuls of rappers.
What do you think it was?
So awesome.
Was it the
It's
water?
time.
No,
It was an era.
just-
Time.
there's
was
a
a
there's a
time.
few different things.
It was
Like
just- it's time.
you couldn't
It evolved into
after
that.
1991, you couldn't make those albums. You couldn't make a De La Soul Is Dead or 3 Feet High and
With-
Rising
because of the sampling issues.
with sampling, or even a People's Instinctive Travels, or
Yeah.
you know, or Low End Theory.
Well,
even.
on another level, when after Paris getting dropped from Tommy Boy, and then Ice-T getting dropped from Warner Brothers, then you didn't even want to get political. Then the shit got dumbed down even more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, and I mean, yeah, there's a whole. I mean, it's all at this point. It's like it's a corporate tool as much as it is a
Well,
culture,
definitely,
Right.
you know? So yeah. I mean, I feel like I just. I feel lucky enough to, you know, when I growing up in Indianapolis, I always was like, I'm moving to New York as soon as I turn 18. I'm moving to New York, and like my family's out there and all. But it just didn't work out that way, and I ended up going to college and you know, at IU, and just like kind of getting into music and audio recording. I went to music school and all that kind of shit. And my friends growing up were like, I didn't really realize it, but I grew up with some heavy ass musicians, like these
Wow.
motherfuckers could play, you know,
Yeah,
and like I never thought I could play. I was just thought I was tagging along, and I was the DJ, and I was the dude
Yeah.
who would be freestyling to their shit. And then when I got into college and started like hanging out with other people and kind of being shy about my skills, and then like sitting down on the piano with somebody who like I thought was like an expert, and then like being like, oh, actually I know how to do this, and I don't know, you know what I mean, just getting that confidence in
Yes.
in being able to kind of like, so for me it's always been about getting the music out. So when I'm DJing, I'm trying to like express myself as a DJ. When I'm writing rhymes or I'm rapping, I'm trying to express myself, and it's just all about that. And so like this album, for instance,
I wanted to get to the album.
yeah, so my homie Devin is a drummer, and he's a dope drummer. He tours with lots of bands. He's kind of made a lot of his like money and like, you know, recorded on a lot of rock stuff, and kind of like some like world music. So he tours
Yeah.
with this kind of, I guess you consider a world music kind of band. They're based actually in California, but so like, you know, but he's a dope drummer, and he's a
Yeah.
dope producer, and me and him have been friends since I was 17. He's older than me,
Okay.
but you know, we used to, he's like been a mentor. He's a dope drummer, and he taught me how to do a lot of shit, programming beats, and
Nice.
he had an ASRX when I was younger, and it was, you know, just like learning once I got into making beats and shit. And you know, we just been friends for years, and he had a heart, his aorta burst.
Wow.
Like
Shit.
when he was about he was like 41, 42. It was like a few years back, and he you know, luckily
Getting those
they got
subs, right?
him, you know, at the well, it was that, and he had some like hereditary things, and he just didn't go to the doctor, and that. So anyway, they luckily, you know, he's still here, thank God, you know, and but he had to have a couple surgeries, you know, and through this, like he had a surgery to repair it, but then it's like when they open you up like that, they can't keep you open very long.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they do what they can, and then they're like, we gotta close this motherfucker up, or it's, you know.
Yeah, right.
So they close, like right when he's like, right when I saw my grandma, I think they closed me up, you know. So
Yeah.
so they, you know, and then but he had some surgery scheduled for later, and so he had a second one like a year later, and then another year later he had a third one,
Yeah.
and like the third one had some complications that like they're cool. It's cool now. He's got like a defibrillator now.
Wow.
But like, but while he was laid up in that third thing, his laptop had gotten stolen from his girlfriend's house. And I mean, it was just like when it rains, it pours, you know.
Right.
The doctor was trying to do
know
something,
it
and they
is, yeah.
accidentally hit his vocal cords and fucked it up. And so and the motherfucker could sing too. And so they fucked it. And so like he was just like, and I was like, look, man, I mentioned to my dad like a couple years ago that he was like, he doesn't ask me if I want anything for Christmas every year, but every like 3 or 4 years he'll hit me up like, hey, you want something for Christmas? And I'll be like, and I'll never be able to think of some shit. But I remember I said something about a computer, but I was like, but don't worry about it. It's like, I need an Apple, and I know you ain't gonna buy me no Apple.
Right.
So, but anyway, being my dad, you know, when I ask for it, he don't give it to me. But when I don't ask for it, he'll send me some shit. So he sent me a like HP. It was cool, but my issue with it, and like I was hella thankful for it, and like shit, not many people get that.
Right.
Shit, but like my interface was Thunderbolt, and I just like it doesn't have that capability.
Right.
And so I'm just like, thank you, you know. But I just had it sitting around for a while, and I was using my broken one with with a monitor attached. But I hit him up and was like, yo, I'm gonna send you this computer, and I will put like, I'm gonna just fill it with samples, and I'm gonna put like garage, you know, I'm gonna put I don't know, Reason, I don't know what I put on it, but and I'm gonna just, you know. And then he ended up getting Reason and other Machine and other shit or whatever. And so I was just like, the only thing is you gotta hit me off with some beats when you fuck with it. So
your dad you're talking about?
No, it's not my dad. It's my homie Devin. It's my
I thought you said your dad.
Who co-produced. No, my dad gave me the computer.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so it was a free computer basically,
Right.
that I had and I wasn't using.
You made the beats, yeah.
But my friend had his just stolen. So I was like, you can have the computer. I'm gonna send it to you. And so I sent it to him, and he made hella beats. And the next time I was in town, you know, we just like, I just got a bunch of. He was just like, here's my hard drive, man. Just take them and see what you like or whatever.
Yeah.
And you know, they're like dance beats. They're like fat. This is so. So at first I was kind of, not dance. I don't know what you call them. I can't explain this. This shit sounds like nothing else. Like I don't know if that's a good thing but I think it's mostly a good thing. And it's not stuff that I would normally like think to rap over. It's not a boom bap record,
Right.
At all. And it's got elements of like Chicago because this is what we've been into. This is what we've been listening to. Chicago footwork music, like the type of music that like goes double time and slows, like the shit they do in the Midwest is like Detroit, Chicago. It's like we be doing like real electronic. We don't like, we'll use some stock sounds, but like make it real funky and do shit with it. And so, you know, that was influencing this a lot. And so a lot of these beats, they were really dope, but I didn't think I was gonna actually write anything over it for a while. I just was chilling. And then one day, one of the ones that's like 120 BPMs. Like I just start like being like, and I'm just saying silly ass shit, and I'm just like, but it's dope. I'm gonna write it down. And then I wrote down like the first few lines, and then next thing I know, I got 2 verses, you know, and I'm like, okay. And then I wrote to another one that day and was like, okay. And then I was like, hey, let's put out these songs. They're like, okay, whatever, you know, and they kind of were. And then next thing I know, I've written to like 10 of them, 11 of them, 12 of them.
Wow.
And was just like, I make beats a lot, and I write to them sometimes, but I write so much better, I feel, over other people's beats. Or at least, I don't know if I write better, but it makes me want to write. It inspires me to write when somebody, like, because I think since I made the beat, like, my mind knows where it's gonna go, and so like whatever I write feels predictable, whereas like these beats just like hit me one day and I was just like and it just started coming out. And so like the dope part is like the slowest beat on here, I think there's one that's like 85. That's the slowest, but like everything is 100 to like 120.
Okay.
The whole B side is one. So the B side is for DJs. It just runs. It's all one track. I mean, it's 5 tracks.
I just got mine tonight finally.
But I had it mastered and mixed so that there's no breaks. You know, so you know you could just put it on and have a little dance party too. But you know, but then the one song I got Pep Love on one song that I played it on the mix. Well, I played a kind of version of it. I played an acapella of it, and then there's a feature with B-Sides, who's also from Oakland, and J Maul. You guys know J Maul?
No.
He's from Mississippi, but he's been out here in Oakland.
Why do I say it's a familiar name?
J Maul. He does shit with. He's dope. He's a rapper. He does shit with B-Sides, and I'm sure you've seen him. And my homie Nate Cameron sang the hook on the first song, You Can't Fuck, YCFW, which stands for You Can't Fuck With It. That one's been played on KPO, the clean
Okay.
version. It's been played. You Can't Get With It. But I had him do it, and he's actually he's a tour manager for Tank and the Bangers. You ever heard of them?
No.
They're from New Orleans. He's from New Orleans.
Okay.
But he lived in Oakland for years, and then when he started managing them, he moved back down to New Orleans, and they're doing big shit. They've been on, Jimmy Fallon and
Oh,
all that
wow.
stuff. They've been
Where we been?
They won the Tiny Desk thing.
Okay.
Well,
Where you at,
they're
Mike?
not just it's not just a hip hop group. They're like
Where you at,
they're
Mike?
kind of a mix of, it's like hip hop, funk, soul,
Yeah.
kind of everything.
shit.
Dope.
It's not just chill. It's got a lot going on. Like it's like it's unique. You have to check it out. It's got a real New Orleans energy to it for sure. But we did that song at Fantasy Studio, one of the last sessions we did before Fantasy closed.
Wow.
Because my good friend Adam Munoz was the head engineer at Fantasy, and so I met him. Like, see, that's the thing about music that's a beautiful thing, is it's not like, it is all about networking and who you know, kind of, but it isn't about like hoeing yourself out to know people. It's about knowing people. It's about knowing people through the normal shit that you do. You know what I mean? It's like I'm at a bar after my shitty ass restaurant job in North Beach one day, and talking to somebody about my SP1200, and this other guy's talking about really nice Neumann microphones, and I'm like, did you say Neumann? He's like, did you say SP1200? And next thing I know, he's like, yeah, I'm an engineer. And I'm like, oh shit, I went to audio school, I'm a musician, and da-da-da. He's like, well, you should record your next album at Fantasy Studio. I'm like, yes, I fucking should. Like, and like he's like my best, he's like one of my best friends now, and like there were a couple years where he was able to give me the homie rate. Eventually, that changed, but yeah. So I was used to recording in Fantasy, and like, man, I love that place. But the dope thing is Adam bought the U47 Telefunken mic from Fantasy that I used to use, and John Lennon and In Vogue and Too Short,
Wow.
a couple other people might have used it. I don't know.
So
Yeah, but no. So he actually ended up buying that mic, and so he has a spot in Berkeley he works out of now, and so I got a chance to lay down the rest of the vocals with him on that mic, and then I mixed it myself, and then had him master it.
Wow.
So, on the SSL with the, he's got a spot that has an SSL, and he's got a crazy A to D converter that I could never. Well, I won't say that. I'll be able to afford it eventually, but I can't afford it right now. So. But yeah, so like through knowing, like audio and shit, like I've done, when I had the studio space, I was doing mixing and stuff, making a little bit of money, and I'm really good at it, and I enjoy it, but I'm just always focused on my own shit. I'm
Wow.
selfish,
I'll be straight. I never knew all this.
well,
I didn't know this was your get down when I met you. I just thought you were another one of the DJs, gone on the local scene. And the more I learned about Spread, and then when I'm like, he's got an album coming out, I'm like, holy shit. And then I started studying more. I'm like, oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Man, I wish I was better at tooting. I mean, I don't think it's not that I don't think I do toot my own horn when I can, but I'm just I think it's an age thing, and I also think it's a Midwest thing. Like we're just very kind of like chip on our shoulder, humble kind of way. Like I don't feel right like just being out here like, oh man, check me out. Like because I don't like when people do that to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if I know you do some shit, I'm gonna check you out, and like if I fuck with you, I fuck with you, and I might fuck with you as a friend and not like your music, or I might like your music and not really like you
exactly.
that much. But either way, like we're gonna be cool. Like I'm not gonna let that affect whatever it is that we have as friends or work artists or whatever. So, but for me, I definitely like. I think it's hard to do like. For me, it just makes sense to do all these things because it's just like I think at the end of the day, I'm a producer, and I'm a performer, and I did theater and shit in high school and stuff. So like being on stage is something that I love, and I miss that a lot. But DJing is a whole other side that I love too, because it's a different. You're on stage, but you're not out front, and you're actually kind of controlling the party in a totally different way. And I mean, and I think all of those things help me. Like, you know, when I decided that I wasn't gonna try and be an engineer right out of audio school, like, because I was performing and shit, and I was like, and recording, and I was like, well, I still am going to use this to do what I want to do. And then I basically had no other choice, money-wise and just situation-wise, but to mix my own record. And I'm really, like, happy with it. And it actually, mixing this record gave me the confidence to be like, yo, I'm mixing records now. And the thing is, I would still be mixing records, but, man, artists.
What's the name of the album?
Bullshit.
What's the name of the album?
Where can they find it?
It's called Spread'em or Spreadam. SPREADAM apostrophe. So I'm Spread, obviously.
Yeah.
And my homie Devin and Mike is Dam. So Mike is a homie from back in the day. Like, we're good homies. Like, they're a production team. Devin does a lot of the programming. Mike does a lot of the sequencing, and he's a DJ. So when they play live, they do live shows. It's kind of live mixtape kind of thing where Mike is on the turntables and Devin is on the drums and the SPDS triggering samples, and then they'll have like keyboard players and bass players sit in with them, and you know, kind of like a jazz, soul, funk, hip hop kind of thing, and then they'll have people sit in. But so they're Dam, and then they sent me, you know, these beats, so I just called it Spread Dam. And right now you can find it on Bandcamp.com.
Okay, perfect.
Spreaducation.bandcamp.com. Just how it sounds, SPREADUCATION. Spreaducation.
And you pressed the vinyl.
And I pressed the vinyl through. I used. Shout out to Unjust, Justin, who's a good friend of mine. Dope ass producer. He does the Hierotrope series or whatever. Okay. So I was like, I want to get vinyl press. Who should I go to? And he was like, Second Line Vinyl out of Oakland.
Okay.
And they hooked it up, man. They work with you really well. You know, they help you out and get you what you need. It's real. It's like not a lathe cut. It's full vinyl. They use it's Erica. They use Erica pressing plant down in Southern California. I want to say Bakersfield or Anaheim, something like that. And so it's, you know, it's full. Now it's one record. It's 40 minutes. Like, if I were rich, I would have
20 minutes each side.
Yeah, well, one side's like almost 19, the other one's almost 22. So if I had a label or, you know, the money to front, I would have done 2, because like it's quieter than it's not a quiet record. Like, if you play it next to any other record, it sounds loud. But like for me, you know, having mixed the songs, you know, like
it's not how you want it to sound.
Oh, it is.
And a double vinyl. Exactly, what you're saying? Double
I'm
vinyl
saying
would bring more out.
A double vinyl would make it so you don't have to turn it up.
Thicker grooves.
Yeah, exactly. Thicker grooves. That's all. That wasn't a very good job selling the motherfucker, was it? I'm like, well, I wish it were louder.
Ladies and gentlemen, Spread Fox. He's got a lot to say. He's proud of his creation, as you should be, my brother.
Yeah.
Dope set.
I did the cover art. My friend, who's a super dope artist, I had him do some cover art, and the concept was he did a great job, but it was like it's controversial, so we're going to use it for something else. And so I was like, well, what the fuck am I going to do? And I'm like, I had kind of been teaching myself Photoshop because of flyers and shit, you know, and was like, well, I had a friend who's like a rocket scientist, basically. She was like, you know, all the NASA photos are royalty free and all that stuff. And so I'm like,
Really?
I'm
Yeah.
Just go and fuck with their website and pick what
Is
I
that let me
want.
see it? Is that
So
what it
it's
is?
really a collage. Yeah, it's just like a collage of a bunch of different nebulas and
That's so
whatnot.
fire.
And I did my best trying to kind of.
Collage it together. Baby.
That's so fire, bro. I'm into that shit.
Yeah.
Amazing. Spread.
Yeah. Much love, y'all, man. Thank you guys for
Man.
having me on, man.
You didn't even need us, brother. You're good.
That's what's up.
Where can they find you at, my brother?
You can find me on Facebook or Instagram at Spread Fox, SpreadFox. I also got a record label for that. I kind of, it's more of like an umbrella, just a bunch of collective of friends that I grew up with, and we just put our music out on the same Bandcamp kind of record label situation. So it's called Just Do Records,
Right.
JUSTDUE.
I'm gonna say this. I follow Spread on Facebook and on IG, and I always see him, especially before COVID. He's got his daughter out with him. He's out DJing, and man, I love it. It's the most beautiful thing. It's like I'm having a rough day, and I see you guys. I'm like, this brother's winning.
My daughter loves DJing. She's gonna be better than all of us very soon.
Nice.
She's a beast.
My daughter's actually just lightweight discovering it. Now she wants to come down here to the studio all the time.
She freestyles too.
Nice.
Ridiculous.
Spread. I don't know how long we gone.
Yeah,
here, brother. We'll let you get
they're
moving.
actually on their last book. I'm getting the text. They're on their last book now, which means that I gotta get my ass home and tuck in some babies.
Spread Fox.
Yeah,
very good
Hey,
set.
much
Good
love,
time.
y'all. Much
Good
love
time,
to
brother.
Everybody
Very
watching,
good.
and thanks for giving me the time.
And I'm
man.
sure
I
after
love this
COVID,
shit, so.
you're ready to go out here and get it back.
Man, I'm just real artists. It's our time, man.
It is our
it's
time,
like we're
man.
we're doing this. Like
For
nobody's
real.
telling us to do this.
I learned this. If it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have done this podcast.
Nah, we were talking about it earlier before
We've
we were
been
on.
talking about it for years. We've been talking about all this shit for years.
Yeah.
But it's time to do it now because
Well, I lost all the DJing. I had to do something.
gotta
Yeah.
do it. Gotta do
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Spread
Yeah.
Fox, ladies and gentlemen.
DJ Mike and
D-
it.
friends.
Much love, y'all.
DJ Mike's after party every
Yeah,
Thursday
yeah.
at 9 p.m. after DJ Mike and Friends premieres. You know what it is. We back season 2. Hey.
Thank you, Spread.